Google. Why are we going to Google? Oh yeah, because they know everything. Does this look familiar? It's the Street View car. There's only one. Imagine that being your job. I'm responsible for Google Street View. Oh, you wrote the code? No, I drive around. So this Street View car, what's it do? It actually does something really awesome, right? It drives around all of our cities and it takes pictures, right? It takes pictures of the street, through your windows. And it applies it on Google Maps. So at any point you can use Street View on Google Maps to see a street view of that area. So what the cars are doing while they're driving is doing something pretty interesting. They're taking the pictures. They're also calculating GPS so that they actually know where to apply the pictures on the map. But they're doing something else. Now, recently Google has come under a lot of heat for storing unencrypted data. Have you guys heard of this? Now, it's really interesting here in America. I think what happened was the government freaked out. They said, Google, that's illegal. You can't store that data. All right, we'll delete it. No, you can't do that. That's illegal. You can't delete or store the data. They're in some sort of limbo right now, where they've actually deleted the data in Europe. Now, here's the thing. This would never affect any of us, right? We all have encrypted networks at home. So Google never collected any data from any of our networks. Okay, this attack will work on our networks. Doesn't matter that we're using WEP, WPA, WPA2, WPA2 Enterprise. Please don't use WEP. They're doing something else that no one is freaking out about. They're collecting this GPS coordinate, but they're doing something else. While they're driving, they're saying, oh, look, I see a network, a Wi-Fi network. It's called Linksys. Oh, and here's the router MAC address. None of that's encrypted. It's all in the Wi-Fi, right, in the 802.11 packets. So they're driving around and they say, oh, I see this new network called Linksys. I wonder what the GPS coordinates are right now. Well, you're thinking, all right, well, at home I have a really strong Apple network, so obviously it will span multiple blocks. They'll never know where I live. But there's something else going on. They're looking at the signal strength. So you're going down the street, and they're saying, oh, only 10% signal strength. They drive further down the street, goes up to 60% signal strength, and then it starts to deteriorate. So now they know the strongest point on that street, let's say from east to west, of where that router was. Now, obviously, the router could be somewhere far north, somewhere far south. They have no idea. Until they make a left turn, and they start going down. And the signal strength either gets stronger or weaker. And based off this, they can do triangulation. So how can we use this to detect where Anna is? Well, HTML5 has this new feature called geolocation. And what it does is it essentially uses this data. So with some modern browsers like Firefox and Chrome, what will happen is you'll connect to the browser. You'll go to a web page. Now, the browser will say, do you want to share your location with this website? And you'll probably say no. But I was curious, so I said yes. And what happened? Well, I sniffed the connection. What happened was Firefox made an HTTPS connection to Google and said, here's a JSON request, and here is Sammy's MAC address for his router. And what happened? I got coordinates back. So you're thinking, okay, well, if Anna visits this malicious site, which has this HTML5 geolocation, she's never going to click share location. You're never going to find out where she lives. But instead, wait a second. Didn't I already get her MAC address? When she visited the XXSS, which scanned her local network, detected the exact type of router she used. Based off the type of router, I loaded the appropriate XSS. The XSS executed remote malicious JavaScript that then ran on the router, did AJAX to request the info page, looked up the info page, found the MAC address of the router, took the MAC address, sent it to me. I can now take that MAC address and make this request on her behalf. And what do I get back? Jack Bauer level triangulation. Exactly where that router is located. Now you're thinking, all right, well, is this really accurate? I mean, how accurate is it? So I did driving directions. I did driving directions from the coordinates of this actual router, which I exploited, to the actual address. Driving directions, 30 feet. I looked at the router. It was 30 feet away. I freaked out. This is incredible. This is absolutely crazy. So based off just the strength itself, they're able to determine exactly where your router is, to your physical address. And you don't even need an HTML5 enabled browser, right? I did the HTML5 request on her behalf. All I needed to get was her router's MAC address. So you're probably thinking, okay, Sammy, thanks for telling me. I'm going to go home. I'm going to throw that router out. Go buy an Apple one. Or maybe I'll spoof the MAC address or something like that. That's a great idea. That's a smart thing to do. But it doesn't matter. This is an Android phone. It's developed by a company called Google. It has some really cool technology on it. GPS, have you heard of it? GPS technology? It has another really cool technology called Wi-Fi. So what's happening is when you go home today, and with your new Apple router and that big smile on your face, your phone's going to see, oh wow, look at this, a new network. What's the MAC address of that? I wonder what that is. Oh, I wonder what the GPS coordinates are right now. I wonder how the signal strength is of this network. It's probably like right there because you're installing it. And that data goes back up to the mothership. You're thinking, oh my God, I am turning off that feature or throwing out my Google phone and buying an iPhone. Now they'll never track me. But it doesn't matter. It's not your phone. What about your neighbor? What about the guy walking the dog with his Android phone? He doesn't even need to be connected to your network, right? It doesn't matter if your network's encrypted. They can see the MAC address anyway. They can see the signal strength. And they can get the GPS coordinates. Send it all back up to the mothership. And again, there you have your triangulation. Now, I would have a slide that says how to prevent this, but I don't. So, to conclude, I'm sorry to say it, but privacy is dead. Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. Any questions? Yes?
It's not so much a question, it's like I actually used the concept of essentially Googling somebody's WAN MAC address in a pen test I did recently, and it saved my ass. I just want to let you know that like you contributed directly to me getting paid, so I owe you scotch.
Awesome. That's great. Glad to hear that. Yeah?
Do you have slides available? Or someone did go live pretty quickly and I would have liked it to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I had to speed up there. Yeah, you can get my slides from, the URL is sammy.pl, and you should be able to access them from there. What's that? A library? To do which? Oh, was that a malicious URL I gave you? No, nothing malicious on the front page, I promise. Come on, I want repeat visitors. Any other questions?
So this NAT pinning technique, how many routers actually have this turned on by default where an outgoing TCP connection will remap an incoming connection?
I don't know of any that don't. You can actually take a look at, if you want to see how they work, what you can do is you can actually look at Linux's NAT connection tracking, because it's open source. Obviously, they won't all work that way, but that's a really good way to see how connection tracking works for FTP, for IRC, for SIP, for any sort of multi-port protocol. Anything else? All right, well, thanks again for coming.